I authorize you to do communion, to lead communion, to take communion, to serve communion. Because the concept of sharing the Eucharist, the body of Christ, is not about a man long ago, though many say it is. But I am redefining it, and I am authorizing you to be it, to lead it, to see it's you. The story is about you. The story of Christ is to be Christ. So this is not a Christian ceremony anymore. It's the Christ rite of one, symbolic of, if you want to. And who am I to authorize you to do this? I'm a simple, common guy, an ordinary man in Eureka Springs, Arkansas right now, sharing with you the intent of God's heart. Not the Christian exclusionary one who says, you must do this, that, or the other. You must do it a certain way, and a certain person must be authorized by a certain group of people. No. Jesus is the pattern for all people everywhere who will see the pattern and become it in their shoes. So the Christ is being led no more to an altar rail to repeat a little prayer, to join a church. To operate their lives in defeat while they wait on God to come. In action B. Are you willing to know there's more? Are you willing to know more? B. Led around to be so subservient to the rights and rules and rigmarole of the Christian church? Studying forever your Bible, listening forever to messages, the repetitive knowledge of man that doesn't even let God speak, taking the place of God, inserting themselves between you and God. Jesus is the pattern. And he showed us what to become and how to become it. He washed people's feet. So the story goes. And there was a Last Supper, what's commonly called the Last Supper. And the story has it it's repeated so many times that Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it as a symbol for his body broken for you. My friend, that is incorrect. It is inaccurate. It is one of the many things Christianity has corrupted, controlled, and used it to control you who believe that's true. I suggest to you that if you open to the idea that God will teach you directly, you can ask God about this and these things that so often that I speak of, that's out of the box, that's not a part of the party line of the Christianity's dogma. I suggest to you communion, the Eucharist. It's symbolic. It's not necessary for you to participate in this, lead this, or do this. But you can, and it's a symbol. But I'm correcting the symbol. I'm saying you have power. You have the face of God. You were never separate from God. We are a race of gods, all of us being one. As we are learning who we are and that God will teach us directly and correct the things that we have held as being truth, as being sacred, if we let God, God will teach us. And in this little video, this teaching, this lesson, I come to you as a common man, Theodore Cottingham. I lead the School of God in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. So I'm sharing with you. I'm revising the scriptures, or I'm saying the scriptures don't apply, or am I revising your interpretation of it? Jesus actually, more than once, said something like, the scriptures say, but I say unto you. He brought revision. He brought understanding. He brought revelation that whosoever will be the Christ, willing to be the Christ, will do all the things he did and more. The Christian says, Christianity's dogma says, you can't do what Jesus did. He's the only Son. He's the only one. Wait on him to do things. Just sit there in the pew. Wait on God, attend church, give your money. Be subservient to those who have authority over you. I say unto you, no one on earth has spiritual authority over you. And if they assume such, they're ignorant, arrogant, and they don't realize what they're doing. Whether they think they're serving God or not, no one, no person on earth has any spiritual authority over you. You alone have the authority of you. And we are to arise in it now and bar no one from celebrating what we're talking about. Little children, boys and girls. Let there be no veil ever again separating the Holy of Holies from you, separating you from the body and blood. My friend, you are the body and blood. I say unto you, The story of the Last Supper. Jesus didn't say, take this as a symbol of my body and blood. But I suggest to you, Jesus said, you are my body. You are my blood. You are the message. Do the things I did. Rise up, friend. Rise up. And sit no longer under the vomit of religion that simply gives you twice eaten food or regurgitates some kind of message to keep you under the authority of someone else. All authority in heaven and earth has been given to you. No one can take that away, but they can assert that you don't have it. And you can say, oh my gosh, I think they're right. Or I think this, that, or the other. And you can sit down, lay down, and they'll roll right over you. Demand you comply with their wants, wishes, rights, and rituals a certain way. And only if you're the right pedigree, the right this, the right other. I'm telling you, I defeat all that. And who am I? A simple man. Who am I? One with the consciousness of God, the Christ consciousness that has been created within me, because I let me create me, because I let what God is communicate and teach me who I am, teaching me who you are too. Teaching us that we are no longer denied a place at the table. We are no longer denied our authority. We are no longer denied our heritage, our birthright. So I say unto you these things, for you to arise in the blessing of being one. O-N-E, one. No more dominated by religion. No more dominated by Christian dogma and the controls that it issues over people to be ordained, called a certain way, controlling the laity, the Nicolaitans. Jesus said in some Bibles that he hated the Nicolaitans. Do your due diligence. Find out what Nicolaitans. Go further than the first definitions you find. The Nicolaitans. The word simply means control laity. Christian dogma creates anointed and unanointed, ordained and unordained, leaders and followers. I'm asking you to arise to be the Christ in your shoes. This is my message. And if you want to celebrate communion, you do so with you. You are authorized, and I authorize you to do it. Who am I? One who has simply learned at the feet of God from the heart of God, as I simply let God teach me directly, interact with me, correct me, as I wrote thousands, thousands, day after day for years, of multi-page messages, just like a scribe, where I would receive the words of God in a stream of energy, in a stream that I would write. And as long as I didn't edit it, as long as I didn't try to make it conform to some previous belief or some dogma, some Bible, some whatever, as long as I wrote, the stream was intact and would continue until it completed. Sometimes it was a paragraph or two, sometimes many pages long. My life, my word, my existence, I share with you. I give you so freely these words for you to see yours, uncover yours, to receive the revelation of yours directly from God of who you are, and celebrating in it, maturing in it. And if you so choose to be a part of communion, know this: the way I share with you communion, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as sacred bread, sacred wine. It's bread, it's wine, it's grape juice, it's some kind of cola, it's water. I've taken communion many times when all I had was a cookie, a Dr. Pepper, a cup of coffee. And I took the bread, and as simple as I am, this wonderful, wonderful muffin a friend of mine, Bailey, made with actual flowers on top. The idea of breaking the bread, if you do this, it's a symbol of your body broken for you. The idea, the concept that this thing, this shell, this body of flesh, it's not that we break it in half, but we begin to see we no longer hold our life in a rigid stance of the dogmas that we've been taught. That which I held so dear, I broke open to see what it was. And the more I looked at the globe of deceit, the more I realized the heart of God was not to remain stuck in the molecular life, subject to a belief system. Jesus is the pattern. The idea, bread broken for you, oh my gosh. Broken, surrendered to be who I really am. Take, eat, my friends, not somebody else's body and blood. There's no transubstantiation. How ludicrous. Enjoy your cookie and your coffee, your French toast, whatever. Take, eat. You have the authority to serve, and let no one else tell you you don't. Ask God about these things and value the answers enough to write them down and begin a learning system where your eyes and your ears and what you've been taught no more rule you. You're laying down this body of flesh to arise, not subject to flesh. This is the way I'm laying down my body. The way that I break all those chains from me to release me into the real. And all that idea of tasteless wafers, sacred bread, my friend, give it up. Be real. Simple, ordinary people coming into the joy, not of the Lord being someone else, but of us arising in the identity of one, who we are, not perishing again. You have the authority. Your lineage, your heritage, your heart, your blood is not separate from God. And anybody that says you need a Savior to save you from sin, well, who created the sin? Who created all that idea? Wait a minute. Are you willing to examine? Are you willing to cultivate a character of delight that's you rather than someone else? The bread and the wine, the chocolate chip cookie and a Dr. Pepper. That's how I've had communion many a time in years past. Cup of coffee and a piece of bread. Now here, this wonderful little muffin. I break. But see, it has meaning. Why does it have meaning? Because I appropriate that meaning. I create the meaning that it has for me. I see what it's doing. I see what it does. Without religion controlling us again. Take, eat the bread. Drink the coffee, the wine, the tea. The bourbon. Whatever you have. Don't be hung up on the rules and regulations of religion. That will crush us no more. You see, we are leading out. I am leading out. I am leading out of religion. The contemporary interpretations, the way that Christian leaders teach, only control, rob your sight, shut the door in your face of the kingdom all the time, telling you what this Bible verse means is such and such. And God said such and such, and this, that, and the other. And oh, by the way, you need to fill out your membership certificate. You need to do this. You need to say this prayer. And you need to say it a right way. No, my friend. I suggest Jesus' message is about who you are. You were never separate. The love of God may be simple, so simple it doesn't even need syllables. All the idea of the ordained and the unordained, the ordained versus the laity, leaders who rule, control, exert authority, do so with the carrot and stick. The carrot of heaven or the stick of damnation, hell. I say unto you, grow up. And to grow up requires a level of trust and surrender. I grew up fearing God. That's what I was taught. The beginning of wisdom was to fear God. I suggest to you, it's the opposite. It's the very opposite. The beginning of wisdom is to come as a little child. Ask God about these things. Ask God. You ask God. I'm asking you to ask God, are you Christ? Not Christian of. Are you the Son of God? Are you the daughter of God? And realize the difference when your mechanical mind, your neurons, and the processes that are controlled by what's been programmed to our DNA and generations of lies will scream. But what are you listening to? Are you willing to listen to more than what you see? Will you no more take as law your limitations? Will you no longer listen to those that you've always honored because you thought they had an authority that you don't? All authority in heaven and earth has been given to you, my friend. No matter who you are, what your name is, what language you speak, where you come from, what you believe in, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to you. No matter what your color, nation, tribe, or tongue. This is the day for understanding the revelation of God to be God in your shoes. You are the one who learns to speak and turn the water into wine. All the miracles that Jesus did, they were not showing us that Jesus was special. All the miracles Jesus did to show us the visible empirical world is not the real. And we are not limited to the words of the Pharisees, the Sadducees, or whoever put out the religious dogma that has attracted you or had you enslaved to it in any way, shape, fashion, or form. I tell you, it's a radical message. I bring this message. Jesus brought a radical message. So many people want Jesus to come back and establish peace on earth. They don't talk much about Jesus saying, I came to bring division. You see, the book that has been studied, canonized, and worshiped, oh my, worshiped, where people have spent thousands and millions and billions of hours, has been altered many times. Every time it's translated, every time it's preached, the nuances of language are portrayed a certain way. And that language and those syllables, the tone and the propagation of that energy comes to you a certain way, and you again interpret it. But I say unto you, the language of God needs no syllables. It's not tongues that you babble on that you don't know what you're speaking of. The language of God is energy. Energy transcendent of the visible, empirical, molecular world, which we have defined as reality, that we, quote, live in until we die. And I assert and declare it is not appointed for you to die. Man said that. But what did Jesus say? Jesus said, if you believe in me, you will never die. But who understands it? Or do they just emasculate it with their interpretation, their meaning, and say, oh, that means such and such. It means spirit. It means your spirit will never die. Jesus over and over showed us that we are not subject to the visible empirical. And I do believe our last enemy is death. Because what we are doing, we are coming into the realization of the revelation of Christ, that we individually resurrect from this flesh. But my friend, we don't leave it behind forever. We become seamless. We become seamless. We become who we really are. The resurrected Christ, God, in human form, who walk in power. And at some level, I think we all know this. That's why we're so often attracted to heroes. Superman, Superwoman, Wonder Woman. People that seem to awe us. But at the heart, the very root of that is more than admiration. I submit to you, we forgot. We used to do that too. We could fly. We could sit down and eat on the seashore like Jesus did. That was after his resurrection. We can eat, we can laugh, we can have fun, we can have communion, break bread, drink coffee with cookie and Dr. Pepper or Pepsi Cola or whatever. It's symbolic. Let us understand what Jesus was giving us. Let us understand Jesus the pattern. Let us understand all authority in heaven and earth has been given to every one of us. Our innate response is, well, then how come I can't do anything? We can't do anything because we haven't known the truth. We haven't known the truth that we are the truth, because we are the power. We are the existence. The very state of our promised land is within us. If we don't render it useless. But religion has been so intent on controlling people, having followers. Let me tell you, a rise in leadership. Learn how to do communion, learn how to take it. Learn how to come into the maturity of actually understanding, doing, feeling the joy of it rather than, oh my gosh, I'm violating some sacred law. No, my friend. And when you heal people, you don't need to say the name of Jesus. Heal them in your name. The name doesn't matter. Do you think God is picky about a name, a few syllables that you join together to address God? Come now. God is not fragile. The love of God. Love is simply not fragile. It doesn't have an on-off switch. It doesn't present itself a list of demands and commands. Love loves. Love brings freedom. Love teaches. Love does not produce followers. Love creates leaders, and the leadership of the mind of God that you learn to let flow through your lips this way. This is how you form Christ. You form it every day. You form it in the words, because the words are the seed. So instead of you defiling your own being, your own energy, with the words that take your identity from you and give you a limited, finite existence, we are coming into the revelation that what was given and worshiped in the past was never the heart of God. Not the God that I know. Not the God that has taught me for years. And at times, it was an agonizing process to learn this. And as I began to experience the love of God permeating me, talking with me, sharing with me in ways about things unimaginable, telling me there's no mystery of Christ. Religion says there's a mystery, but there's no mystery. Remember, so many great pictures we have, visualizations of in certain movies and stories. When you finally see who's controlling all this idea, who's saying you have no authority and you must do this and that, or you'll go to hell instead of heaven. When you start coming into the presence of God, God will teach you to pull back the curtain, just like in the, Land of Oz movie. It's a great moment. See who's controlling things. See who's controlling you. Begin to identify the assumptions that limit your leadership. And why. And why? Why do you wear the assumptions that you have? You are the body of Christ. But you have to break off all of those assumptions. You break off the smell of religion. You begin to water the seed of the Christ in you, beginning to let the mind of Christ be in you that was in Christ Jesus, for you to have the same mind, the mind of God, the mind that knows no lack, the existence that is not powerless, nor limited to your molecular structure. And this is how we begin to come back into our kingdom, humbly, coming as a child, learning from God directly. It will never be enough if you only learn from other people. To be who you really are, to experience the resurrection of you being it, you must come into the holy place, the Holy of Holies between your ears, and surrender to let God teach you directly without being afraid. And that, my friend, is the concept of me laying down my body for you, laying down our body for each other, coming to the knowledge of God, coming to the revelation that all authority in heaven and earth has been given you. You have the authority to forgive sins. You have the authority to be who you really are. And this is my message. And this is my plan. I take this message everywhere. It's your body broken for you. And my body broken for me. Coming into revelation, coming into maturity, coming into power to share with you yours, for you to do the same. The concept of hierarchy, the concept of religion, the concept of followers, my friend, no longer incarcerates the Word of God that flows so freely to break off all that we have been the beast of burden for. I suggest to you, there is no heaven or hell like we have thought, like we've been taught. Jesus isn't coming back for you, for me. The story is for you to arise in power, light, love. And in this power, light, and love, seamlessly operating in the heavens and on earth, creating a new heaven in each one of us between our ears, creating a new earth here, operating with a set of values that values every person equally. And the ones who don't want to hear this, that want to throw us off of a cliff, walk right through them. Because you'll have the power to do so if you have matured it. But you are the one who determines whether you experience the transformation. The transformation of becoming a being of light in your shoes. This is the race of God. The mind of God being an interconnected mind of many innumerable beings of light, sharing joy, sharing celebration, sharing life among the cosmos, not limited to just one. It all starts with a choice. It all starts with you. And what you eat. Whose words are you eating? Whose face are you wearing? I suggest, my friend, no matter how lovely or ugly you think you are the face of God. Now, what you do with it and what you do with your power, your energy to receive and perceive and reproject, it's up to you. There will be those who reject this message. They want to believe in belief. They want to believe in belief. Oh, I believe the Bible. I believe this. I believe this man, this woman. I believe whatever. My friend, now's the time to understand the timelessness of the message of the power of love and begin to walk in the power of love that doesn't love power, but learns to love love. Begins to elevate those who have been so put down, cast out, shunned. The young, the feeble. Let me tell you, you're going to see a lot of people that become decrepit no more, arising from nursing homes, hospitals, and places of incarceration. And I love it. I love this message. The message of love heals and brings freedom. So a lot of people that wear robes and think they operate in the authority of God and the authority of man and make decisions for so many people, they won't be happy with me. But you see, I am not alone. I am this message. I am speaking through me as me. I'm a simple man in Eureka Springs. Who do you speak as? Who are you willing to speak with? Will you sit down at table with God every day and take time to know God? God will not refuse you nor condemn you. You can't do it wrong if you come with the heart of a child. If you come in surrender, where you're no longer adamant, where you're not arrogant, where you're letting God converse, interact with you, teach you, correct you, Seek correction. Not just the answer to your prayers. Seek to know God and become the indivisible one. Whew. Okay. Thanks for having coffee with me today. Communion. Does this make sense to you? You can write me. You can write in comments. You can write me at Box 34 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Does this make sense? Are you getting the message? It's not about the form, it's about the heart. It's about celebration and joy, breaking off the chains of each other, sharing your light, love, and peace, walking in power, no more being a beggar, begging God for this, begging for a good outcome, a good decision. Change it all, my friend, and excel me. Do what I did. Do what I've done. Do more than I did. More than what I do. And have fun doing it. This is not a symbol of the body and blood of someone else, but at this moment, enjoying the food and the coffee and letting it serve as a symbol of my body and blood broken for you, folks. Asking you to do the same. See, you are not powerless, and you are not estranged from God, and you, my friend, are not unworthy. You're no longer ignorant. The crown of life, you grow. You begin to walk in your authority day by day. You begin to create the character of the heart of God, decision by decision, where you value your word. You keep your word to your kids. Be punctual. Care for your signature. Use your signature very sparingly. Be light, love, and peace to all people. And let anger, hate, and malice no more be in you. Because you know who you are. And you're creating the real you in you to walk in your power of love, no longer being controlled by your soul. And all that soul energy, you render powerless. It's like a snake. But it will not harm you. Words of others can be like a sword that pierce you. But like in Joel, you won't fall on your sword anymore. You'll walk through all the words because you're no longer subject to that energy. The energy of base, the energy of hell, will no longer incarcerate you. And this is what I'm all about. The people rising now in freedom, common people of every nation, tribe, and tongue, loving each other, doing things together they never imagined, sharing meals, sharing life, being friends at the table of one. Thank you for listening to these words. Thank you for letting me share my little muffin and coffee with you and share about the symbols of your body and blood being broken for you to be the real you, no longer being in a shell admiring another. The soul message goes bye-bye, and the message of the power of light, love, and peace emerges as a little child that learns how to grow up, not only learning who the child's parents are, but maturing in the power of one. I love you. Thank you again. Ask God about these things tenderly. Seek God's correction. Seek to have answers that you will learn to allow to let flow through your lips. I suggest to you, you probably have what we call a smartphone. Thus, you have a little video recorder. Trust God enough to give you the words to record you saying words where you begin to learn to surrender, to not control what comes out of your mouth. In one sense, I'm choosing these words, and yet I'm experiencing an energy very surrenderedly. Very surrenderedly. And you can learn to speak surrenderedly. Fear not seeing your face as God. It is not sacrilege. It is the delight of the heart of God for you to be it. Being one. You see, at some point, all this is about more than just learning. This is becoming. There's action. There's motion. There's risk. Just begin. Begin to ask. Begin to ask God. Ask God about communion. Ask God if what I've said is right, correct, accurate. Let the authenticity of God authenticate God in you, to you, with your own voice, not someone else's. Crown the light with your love. You know, more than once I put a little camera on a stepladder. Didn't have a tripod. Propped one up using ceramic cups. Try to get it at the right height and angle. You can't do it wrong. Turn the phone on selfie mode. Punch record. Begin. Begin your life without fear. Don't fear God anymore. Realize the most humble of all is God. The mind of God will teach you. Are you willing to lay down all of your inhibitions and begin to walk in a new realm of confidence, of leadership? Will you lead you to do this? I'm asking you. Fear not your face. Fear not making a mistake, but come as a child. Press the record button. And if you don't know what to say, begin to talk to God. Just begin to talk as a child. Simple words. God, I love you. God, teach me who I am. God, correct me. God, is there any value to this? You say, God, am I right? Wrong? What's going on with all of this? What is this revelation of Christ to be Christ? What is this about me having communion with myself? A biscuit with a cup of coffee? Where I have breakfast by myself? And before I take a bite, I don't say grace. I'm not praying to you. I'm saying, I'm realizing there's more to my life. I'm realizing the seed of God comes into me through my words in ways that others' words don't. The energy of your words produces in you light of a different nature, character, than all those that you just hear. You're creating the light tree, the tree of life. You are creating, preparing you, not for burial, but for resurrection. So this is what I'm about. I'm asking you to begin. Begin. Begin to see you can't do it wrong, and begin to have no fear. If you saw if you saw the first few videos I made of me speaking the first person words of God, you'd probably laugh and shake your head. And I had my laptop. At the time, I didn't have a separate camera, didn't have a smartphone. Didn't know what a smartphone was back then. Had a webcam. Put it in my lap. Turn it on, because God had compelled me multiple times to do so. I thought, I'm going to see if there's anything to this. And I hit the record button and sat there. Finally, I began to utter a few words. I think my first one was maybe 2 or 3 minutes. My second was 2 or 3 minutes. Terrible lighting, whatever. But see, we come as a child. To enter the kingdom of heaven, we come as a child. We stop embracing religion, dogma, and all the positions that people want to offer that say they have authority or someone else has authority over us. You women, I'm asking you to come into your authority. I'm asking all of you to love each other equally. This is what I'm about. This is what this school is about. Thank you again for listening and acting, taking action, not just listening forever. There's a time to act. There's a time to move. There is a time. And this time that I speak of is now. You who have heard me, heard these messages, those of you who have wanted more, so many of you know there's more than anybody else can teach you. God will teach you directly. I love you. I go now. Thank you again. If you want to, I invite you to communicate with me, interact with me. I may ask you, though, have you done your homework? Not just listened. Have you begun to come into my words, come into this database of these first-person words of God that I've written online? They're searchable. You can do keyword search. You can do a phrase search. $2,400 lessons. You can search them free. On your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet. You, my friend, of light. University of light, you of light. You, friend of light, let light speak. Begin to search the words. Cultivate curiosity. Create your crown. And let not your life conform to someone else's wishes. Be the original you, the original you, the original mind of Christ, the original God mind. Thank you. I plan to have some seminars in Eureka soon. Maybe Tulsa sometime. I lived there for over 40 years before I came here. If you'd like to attend a seminar, you'd like to know more, you can write me. You can write comments on this video on YouTube. You can write me at Box 34 in Eureka. Thank you for caring about you. I love you. I know who you are. And when that shell begins to come off and the light rays begin to connect, learning becomes no longer commensurate with time, nor is it limited to line by line, precept by precept. And you come as a child and begin to let God teach, and you are cultivating creativity. You are cultivating your love and letting love teach you. You begin to learn exponentially. You begin to have revelations like, oh my gosh, bang, 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 fireworks. And it's no longer limited to our lives in the past. Okay. Please take time to come into your presence. Please take time to have communion with you. And be not afraid. You can't do it wrong. Come as a child. So here's a momentary, another thought. The God that I know has a lot of humor. And if you come into these 2,400 searchable lessons in the school of God that God gave me, that I wrote as a scribe, you will find many songs. You will find the diction and grammar change dramatically. Some messages have short paragraphs, some have long ones. Some have no punctuation. But here's one God told me. You can find it in these words. Tell them to high dive me. Where the picture God gave me at that time. If you're willing to take your little phone, turn it on selfie, put it on a step ladder, tripod, or whatever you have. Just begin as a child to not be fearful of you. Don't be fearful of the words of other. See God caressing you. God, the arm of God around you. And you're willing to begin to let God speak through, and you press that record button. At that moment, that's like jumping off for the first time ever. A high dive. Wait, a high dive. You can search on the words high dive. Search on the words. Pick up your pen. Search on the words. Let me speak. And what you will find are riches that you can experience in those times where you begin to let God connect in you through the words given by God through me to begin to free your words in you to record your words for someone else. Be not afraid. Okay. Thank you again for listening, for loving, for creating light. I love you. My name is Theodore Cottingham with the School of God. theschoolofgod.us. And you can write me at Box 34 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I love you all. Thank you again. See you later. Good day. Enjoy the loveliness of being you.